Welcome to Southeast Asia's worst kept secret. There is a reason why Bali is such a beaten trail in the traveller's path. My name is Matt and I have been living in Bali now for 3 years, so I feel very qualified to give you my top 10 things that you must do when you're on this beautiful island. Plus, I've got a little extra bonus one at the end, so stick around for that. Let's jump into it. Number 10, climb an active volcano. This might sound like a bit of a silly thing to do, but I can honestly say this madness was one of the top 3 experiences in my life. If you're up for a challenge like we were, then you can choose to hike Mount Agung, the highest point on Bali at 3,000 meters and an active volcano in the northeast of Bali. This exhausting and mentally challenging hike begins at 10 p.m, which allows you to summit for sunrise. You'll then be rewarded with something very few people who visit Bali have ever witnessed, as the light of dawn illuminates all of Bali in front of your very eyes. You'll see the island from an incredibly unique perspective, but don't get too comfy though, as there's another 9-hour hike back down. If you're looking for something 80% as magical but 100% more manageable, then you can hike Mount Batur, a much more commonly visited volcano in the center of Bali. This volcano still summits at 1,700 meters, but can be done in as little as 3 or 4 hours round trip. It's still an awesome sunrise over Bali, but you'll have to settle on looking up at its big brother, Mount Agung, in the distance. Still an awesome trip and one that you should definitely check out. Number 9, dive the Liberty Shipwreck. For those divers out there, this is an absolute must. The Liberty Shipwreck is an incredible story of a Japanese cargo ship that was torpedoed in World War II and eventually banked on the shores of Bali. In 1963, the largest volcano, Mount Agung, had a series of explosions which subsequently caused a string of earthquakes which pushed the Liberty into its final resting place at the bottom of the ocean off the coast of Amed in Bali. Enjoy this dive at a depth of 12 to 16 meters and experience an amazing history firsthand. The coral has grown around the ship, and that is worth the trip alone. What an amazing history to be a small part of. Number 8, visit the sacred monkey forest. Head up to Ubud, located an hour away from the airport in the center of the island, for a very unique trip to the monkey forest. Mandala Suki Wendarawana, or well known as the Ubud Monkeys Forest, is the sanctuary and natural habitat of the Balinese long-tailed monkey. About 1,049 monkeys live in this sanctuary. They are divided into 6 groups, and each group has an alpha leader. If you ever catch these monkeys in each other's territories, prepare to watch a little battle. Even arriving at the monkey forest is eventful, as the forest is not a closed habitat and the monkeys are free to roam as they please. Therefore, the monkeys can be found on the surrounding streets, pinching those loose items from scooters, or try to steal food from local restaurants and local offerings. Inside the forest will give you a truly wild experience. These monkeys have been living in the forest for hundreds of years and with human interaction for 100 of them, but they are still extremely wild. Enjoy feeding corn to the monkeys, grabbing some cool photos, or just watch them play in their natural habitat. But be careful with what you bring though, as these monkeys are very clever and will look to take any loose items that they can find, such as sunglasses and cameras, to barter for some fresh food for its safe return. Okay, number 7, and this one might seem a little tame in comparison to the other ones so far, but this is definitely a must-do while you're here in Bali. Most people will agree that the tourism boom that Bali experienced in the late 90s can be somewhat attributed to the world-class surf that falls on the island. Awesome surf brought the surfers brought the cafes and the shops, and the cafes and the shops brought the tourists. Surfing is a culture here in Bali, so getting your sunscreen and your rash guard on and taking on the Indian Ocean is an absolute must. If you're a new surfer, then heading down to Kuta on the south side of the island will allow you to practice on tamer waves. The more experienced you are, the further towards Canggu you will eventually become. There are many locals offering surf lessons at prices at around 150k per person, which is around $10, and this will include the rental of your board and rash guard. Number 6, take a trip to Uluwatu beaches. Uluwatu can be found on the south side of the island, and it's the name that represents the entire little nugget that hangs off the edge of Bali. This is where you're going to find most of Bali's most beautiful beaches. It is well worth a weekend trip down to Uluwatu just to enjoy these precious and pristine beaches. Some highlights include Binging Beach. This beach is in a small surfing town of Binging on the west coast of Uluwatu, found only by those willing to head down the rocky steps This beautiful secluded beach hosts fabulous white sand and amazing blue water, and even a few cozy little restaurants and bars on the cliff. Next, and just a 10-minute drive away, is Padang Padang Beach. If you're not careful, you could just drive straight past this beach, as you might not notice it as you're driving over the bridge. This is another beach well hidden by the environment. Forge your way down through the cliffs to arrive on this sun-trapped beach with one of the most amazing settings in all of Bali. Keep heading south and you'll eventually arrive at Malasti Beach. This world-famous beach is home to some of the whitest sand in Bali, some of the wildest and cleanest stretches of sand and bluest ocean. Malasti is also famous for its Karma Beach Club, so if having a day out by the pool and drinking a nice cocktail is appealing, then Malasti is a must. Be warned though, prices are steep. Further around the coast and we arrive at Nusa Dua Beach. This is a very unique beach as it is almost all occupied by 5-star resorts and restaurants. There is a public beach which is equally as beautiful, where local restaurants offer much more affordable lunch options. This is probably the most well looked after and well kept beach in all of Bali, as the hotels all pay together to keep everything in this area clean. The local beach here is super family friendly, with lots of beach and water games and loads of space to spread out with the family. Whichever beach you end up at down in Uluwatu, you will not be disappointed, as these are simply stunning. Okay, number 5, visit Jimbaran Fish Market. Jimbaran Bay is located in the south of Kuta. This beautiful bay is famous for its lush beach, beautiful sunset, but most of all the fresh fish markets at the northern tip of the bay. Nowhere in Bali will you get such a wide variety of fishy options, which were literally caught a matter of minutes ago and served fresh to you in such a beautiful environment. This place isn't exactly a secret, so there will be tourists there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You will have to share this incredible evening witnessing the best sunset in Bali and eating delicious food, but the crowd adds to this vibe with live musicians playing and people getting up and dancing. This makes for quite the romantic dinner and a good place to come with a nice group of friends. There are many restaurants to choose from, but if you're looking for something really authentic, then head directly to the north of the bay to the fish market and get involved haggling and bartering for your fish, and then coming back to one of the restaurants and paying a barbecue fee for the restaurant so that you can sit and dine in their area. I'm getting hungry just thinking about all this, so let's move on. Number 4, go to Waterbomb. Waterbomb is in Kuta, literally 3 minutes from the beach, but that's not what makes this place special. Waterbomb hosts some of the best and craziest rides that I've ever been on in a water park, including drop bottom floor, washing machine style rides, and all of this is set in such a magical jungle environment. This place is well worth a visit. Okay, number 3, visit Cinnamon Valley. Everyone knows that Ubud is famous for its rice fields, but what Ubud is also famous for is its tourists. If you're looking for something a little more romantic and secluded, then head another hour east from Ubud and go to Cinnamon Valley. This valley hosts some of the most amazingly beautiful rice fields, luscious views, and bespoke hotels and guest houses for all budget. While you're here, you can visit some of the more remote waterfalls in Bali and avoid all those tourists who flock to the falls around Ubud. If you're looking for something a little different and romantic, then head to Agung Silver Workshop to design and make your own jewellery. An amazing experience, especially when done as a couple. Cinnamon Valley offers an alternative to Ubud, one without the tourists and something a little bit unique. Number 2, swim with the dolphins in Lavina. The full drive up to Lavina will take about 2.5 hours from the airport. When you eventually arrive, you'll be greeted by some of the most breathtaking views in Bali. White sand, friendly locals, what more could you want? You'll want to arrive the day before you plan to see the dolphins, as the best time to head out and see them is sunrise. This will also give you the opportunity to head down to the beach the day before and negotiate your rate with one of the boat drivers. Average cost for this trip is around 150k per person, which is around $10. On the morning of the trip, you'll meet your driver at around 5 AM to begin your hunt for the dolphins in their natural habitat. Your driver will be skilled at finding the dolphins safely and respectfully. You'll realise how much the dolphins enjoy meeting you too when you eventually find them and witness them jumping around the boat, singing and swimming alongside you. take this opportunity to jump into the water with a snorkel and mask and get a true sense of swimming with the dolphins. Another top tip: for a truly magical experience, the drivers will sometimes tow you along behind the boat whilst you keep your head under the water, and the dolphins will then swim around you and sing. This is simply amazing, and honestly, probably one of my best experiences in Bali so far. Enjoy. Number 1, head to GC Waterfall. If you're still watching this video, then I'm going to reward you with my absolute best thing to do in Bali. This was literally my best day that I had in Bali, and one that I consider myself seriously lucky to have experienced. There are many waterfalls in Bali, but unfortunately, where there are waterfalls, there are often tourists. That Instagram iconic shot really means standing in a queue and waiting your turn to take an awkward photo in front of a line of people who are hot and bothered and just want to get out of there. GC Waterfall on the outskirts of Ubud is completely different. Partially because Google Maps has 2 locations for this fall, and both of them are kind of wrong, therefore leaving this falls as a complete paradise. Park your bike on the road and forge your way through the rice paddies, following the little pin on your map. I'm going to leave a link for that pin in the description below, and you'll eventually come to a tunnel. This tunnel might also spell the end of the journey for most fair weather travellers, but for those brave enough to step into the dark will be rewarded with a private and spectacular waterfall on the other side. That's not the end of the adventure though. To get down to the falls and actually get into the water, you'll have to test your fear of heights by climbing down a rather precarious step ladder, something I took a bare few minutes to build up to. But the reward is there for those who dare. Enjoy this private and sensational experience and thank me later. Stop! I'm gonna give you a bonus one. This is my bonus thing to do, and it's called the Gates of Heaven. This is not exactly a secret, but the Bali Gates of Heaven are one of the most breathtaking gates in Bali and home to a beautiful Hindu temple. Located up in the northeast of Bali, 30 minutes from the town of Amed and tucked up in the mountains around Mount Agung, the largest active volcano in Bali, as we mentioned previously. Come here early to catch the sunrise and witness the birth of Mount Agung through the gates. But again, be ready for queues. This is a very popular tourist and local attraction. You can often expect to wait over an hour for this photo opportunity. But this isn't the reason I've asked you to come here. If you're willing to drive another 10 minutes into the mountains, you're going to be rewarded with this, Hangan Suite, a stunning and relatively unknown lookout spot with the most sensational, private view of Mount Agung. Come here early to avoid the midday heat and soak up this breathtaking spot. Grab that Instagram photo and just relax in one of Bali's little known secrets. Okay, there you have it guys. These are my top things that you must do in Bali when you get here. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please think about subscribing. It really helps us out as a channel and keeps us motivated to keep making these videos. Catch you in Bali guys. Bye for now.